Article 1188. The creditor may, before the fulfillment of the condition, bring the appropriate actions for the preservation of his right. The debtor may recover what during the same time he has paid by mistake in case of suspensive condition. Ang creditor is mag-provide og appropriate nga actions sa para ma-preserve iya ang right before ma-fulfill ang condition. Ayha pa mahuman ang isa ka condition or contract, dapat ma-provide na niya ang appropriate nga actions para ma-preserve niya ang iyaang right as a creditor. So, ang debtor is pwede niya ma-recover ang iyaang mga nabayad by mistake if there is a suspensive condition. Rights pending fulfillment of suspensive condition. First is the right of creditor. O ang creditor is pwede siya mag-take og appropriate actions para ma-preserve ang iyaang right. And si debtor, pwede siya mag-render of nugatory obligation upon the happening of the condition. Thus, pwede siyang moadto sa court para ma-prevent niyang alienation or concealment of the property of the debtor or to have his right annotated in the registry of property. So, second, we have the rights of the debtor. Ang debtor is pwede niya na siya'y katungod para kuhaon ang iyang mga nabayad ever na naay mistake nga mahitabo sa suspensive condition. Let's take a note that the payment before the fulfillment of the condition must be by mistake, otherwise the debtor deemed to have impliedly waived the condition. In any case, dili niya ma-recover ang iyang paunang bayad if ma-fulfilled na ang suspensive condition. Pero if wala pa, allowed ang debtor nga ma-recover or mabawi niya ang iyang mga nabayad even if the debtor has paid not by mistake. Article 1189. When the condition have been imposed with the intention of suspending the efficacy of an obligation to give, the following rules shall be observed in case of the improvement, loss, or deterioration of the thing during the pendency of the condition. So we have 6 rules that shall be observed in case of there are loss or loss of thing during the pendency of the condition. So first is ang butang is mawala, ang walay sala ang debtor, and the obligation shall end. Second, if ang butang kay mawala nga naay sala sa debtor, he is obliged to pay the damages, but it is understood if the thing lost is perishing or goes out of commerce or disappears in such a way its existence is unknown or it cannot be recovered. Third, the thing deteriorates nga walay sala ang debtor and the impairment to be borne by the creditor. Fourth is if the thing deteriorates, naay sala ang debtor, creditor may choose between rescission of the obligation's fulfillment, indemnity, damages in either case. Fifth is if the thing is improved by its nature or by time, improvement shall inure the benefit of the creditor. Sixth, the last, if it is improved at the expense of the debtor, he shall have no right than that granted to the usufructuary. Requisites for application of Article 1189. Article 1189 applies only if the obligation is a real obligation. Second, the object is a specific or determinate thing. Third, the obligation is a subject to suspensive condition. Fourth, condition is fulfilled. And fifth, there is loss, deterioration, or improvement of the thing during the pendency of the happening on one. We have 3 kinds of loss. First, the physical loss. Second, the legal loss. And third, the civil loss. So, ang physical loss is if ang thing is ma-perish. Example, ang balay nga nasunog, na-turn siya into ashes. Nawala ang physical house. Kadua is ang legal loss nga if ang thing goes out of commerce. For example, when it is expired expropriated, or when a thing heretofore legal becomes illegal. Example is during the Japanese occupation, American dollars become impossible since they were forbidden by the belligerent occupant. The last one is the civil laws. When a thing appears in such a way that its existence is unknown, for example, sa kairo is na missing or nawala, or even if it's known nga dili siya ma-recover. Rather, as a matter of fact, for example, ang isa ka singsing is natagak siya sa dagat, kasakay ka og ship or barko. Or of a law, property is nawala through prescription. Kita na siya sa Article 1262, Article 1190. And the conditions have for the purpose extinguishment of the obligation to give parties upon the fulfillment of said conditions shall return each other what they have received. So in case nga mawala, malasin ang value or ma-improve ang usa ka butang, the provision which with respect to the debtor are laid down in preceding article to be applied to the party who is bound to return. The obligation to do or not to do the provisions of the second paragraph, Article 1187, be observed as regards effect of the extinguishment of the obligation. You can see in Article 1123. Applicability of Article 1189, party with obligation to return. For example, si D is gi-oblige niyang iyang kaugalingon nga pauslon si C sa iyaang car until maabot siya sa province or sa iyaang probinsya. If makabalik na si D gikan sa iyaang probinsya, then si C is give the car back to D. So, dapat iuli na ni C ang sakyanan kay D. The effect of the happening of the condition to annul the obligation constituted at all. In this case, the parties intend the return of the car. So, ang example nga atong gi-state is si D is D the debtor and C creditor, pending the fulfillment of the resolutory condition. Ang pagbalik ni D gikan sa iyang probinsya upon the happening of the condition. D becomes the creditor with a right to demand the return of the car. C, debtor, obligation to return the car. Stated in another way, the happening of the resolutory condition has the same effect on the creditor as the suspensive condition has on the debtor. An obligation arises. The fulfillment of the resolutory condition converts the creditor into debtor and the debtor into creditor. Hence, the applicability of the provision of Article 1189 is of loss deterioration or improvement of the thing, and pending the fulfillment of the condition, the parties are entitled to the rights granted by Article 1188.